Are you feeling dialed in this morning?
Kat, it's me. I'm always dialed in, and it's my duty to make sure you all are just as fired up.
Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to dial in. It is another fantastic Friday in the 303 studios. I'm Collin O'Callahan.
I'm Ryan Curtin.
And just because you've been paying attention to basketball or hockey does not mean that you couldn't have missed the NFL draft, because we are officially one round in. A lot happened last night.
Yeah, and it's always football season, Colin. I mean, even with these other things going on, I mean, the NFL draft was on ESPN, regular ESPN, and ABC.
And NFL Network.
NFL Network, you can't escape it.
I know. There's nothing better than just hearing that da-da-dun, da-da-dun, dun-dun.
I used to not like that jingle.
Really?
I know, it grew
Why?
on me. I don't know what it was. It bothered me when I first heard it. I don't know. I can't explain why, but I remember not liking it. But now it's iconic. Now it's a classic and one that never gets old.
I mean, that's just the NFL draft in general. You can never explain why things happen the way they do, but you know what? We just freaking love it every single year.
We are going to try to explain it, aren't we, Colin?
I think we're going to have to.
Yeah.
So 32 picks were announced. Not all 32 teams got to make a pick. You'll get to see that within the next 2 days. But we are going to go through the first round, and we're not going to just go through one by one and be like, oh, what were your thoughts on them getting Mendoza or whatever, because that's going to be too long. But we will make sure to get the biggest moves or the biggest things that, took place last night, because, boy, a lot of activity took place.
Yeah,
So.
it was a busy night.
All right, so the first two picks were kind of expected. The Raiders got Mendoza. The Jets got David Bailey. So we were like, you know what? Whatever. They got their franchise cornerstones. The first big surprise of the night, though, Jeremiah Love going to the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I mean, obviously, I think we knew as soon as it happened that he wasn't going to be the 18th overall pick.
Right.
As he was in our mock drafts. But no, I think it was a little bit of a surprise, at least to us, that he was taken this early by the Cardinals, a team that really, it has a lot of running back talent and even built on that in the offseason by getting Tyler Algier.
Yes.
But I mean, it makes sense. When you have someone as generational as Jeremiah Love, I mean, it seems like a can't-miss guy, and James Conner, we mentioned he's getting up there in age. Tyler Algier has always been more of a power back, goal line guy.
Right.
And Jeremiah Love, I mean, he checks all the boxes, really. He can do it, as a runner, as a receiver, very quick and agile, but also a lot of toughness there. So, I mean, I think on a team that is as run-heavy as the Arizona Cardinals, I think he's a good fit. It will be interesting to see how he's used in this first year, but, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he starts out and he's a stud right away.
I mean, there's no question that he'll be solid with the Cardinals. I think he'll have a great career. I think, listen, there's a reason why he's the best running back in the draft class. My only issue is the fact that the Cardinals needed offensive linemen, and when you had guys like Spencer Fano and Malik Go on the board that were available, it's like those were guys that you could have used to, set those types of running backs up. And I get it. James Conner is getting up there in age. He's also coming off a season-ending injury. And you said it yourself, Tyler Algier is just more of a short yardage power back guy. But at the same time, it's like you need guys that are going to be able to block. I mean, last year, since Jacoby Brissett was, the starter that took over for Kyler, he got sacked the 6th or 7th most times in the National Football League. So I think, I feel like that was something that they needed to address more than just running back. But I agree. I think Jeremiah Love will be great. I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into an Ashton Jeanty situation where he just has no one blocking for him. But we'll see what happens. I think he'll be a solid player. I don't know if that was the biggest need.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting, too, because, the Cardinals have done well as a rushing team, even without a solid offensive line. And I think that's probably part of the reason why they went with Jeremiah Love, to really, take it one step further with him.
Yep. So the Titans with the next pick got Carnell Tate. I personally really like that because they need a wide receiver and someone for Cam Ward to, throw the ball to.
Yeah, it was a big need, obviously. And I think, they could have gone anyway with that pick. I mean, obviously Jeremiah Love was off the board, so you can't go running back there. But even in terms of wide receiver, I mean, you had 3 really great options there. And
yes,
I mean, Carnell Tate, I think he's a really good fit for that offense. He is a great deep threat, and it counters what they got with Alec Iamaner already pretty well. And
yeah,
I think they need that. I think they need someone to really open up the offense for Cam Ward, because I mean, he's a great passer, and we didn't really get the chance to see that last year just because there was a lack of weapons and a lack of offensive line, which I'm sure they'll be addressing in the next few rounds. They got an edge rusher at the end of this round, but yeah, I mean, I think that, I think that'll really open things up for Cam Ward in this Titans offense. So I agree. I think it was a pretty good pick.
Yeah, the Titans definitely went for best player available. I personally thought they were going to go with Arvell Reese just because, Robert Saleh, I think, him trying to establish a defensive identity, trying to bring that girth and that, strength back. I felt like that was the direction they took it, but with the next pick, Giants got him, and it was a smart pick because, listen, Dexter Lawrence got traded to Cincinnati. You don't really know what's happening with Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, Abdul Carter, he went through a rough rookie season, but he's still trying to figure it out, and Brian Burns is not getting any younger. So I think, I wouldn't say it's subtraction by addition, but I think it's just making sure you solidify that front seven because you need dogs in there. And I think with John Harbaugh taking over, I think it's a good way to set that foundation.
Yeah, well, no, and I mean the fact that he fell to 5, I think that was pretty unexpected for a lot of people. I mean,
yeah,
the Cardinals took Jeremiah Love, which a lot of people didn't really expect to happen, and then the Titans followed up by not reaching on Carnell Tate, but taking the guy that was their biggest need, I think. And so, I mean, that opened things up for the Giants to take Arvell Reese. And I mean, yeah, you're right. It fits that defense very well. He's a really great linebacker overall. He does it all. Can really be used as a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, and I mean, the Giants are building up a pretty impressive defense, I think, too. And, Arvell Reese is going to play a big part of that. I think,
yeah.
And we'll talk about this more later, too. I think both of the New Jersey football teams had really, really great drafts, at least in the first round. They did a great job addressing their needs and really, really building a lot of young talent.
Right. I mean, the Jets had 3 first-round picks in this.
They did.
In this draft, but we'll get to that. The first real big, I wouldn't say the first real big trade, but the first draft night trade, I would say, happened right after. The Kansas City Chiefs moving up 3 spots and giving up a 3rd and a 5th-round pick to select Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU. I knew they were going to go with defense. I think we both were in agreement there. But here's my thing. I don't even know if they necessarily had to trade up 3 spots to get him because I felt like he still would have been there. But, the Chiefs got their corner. They replaced Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson, depending how you see it. And, Brett Veach made it clear that, with the amount of guys they lost on defense, they wanted to make sure they kept adding to it.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree that they may not have needed to trade up, but I guess they really wanted to make sure that this was their guy and that he went to the Chiefs. I mean, when they first traded up, I thought they were going to go with Sonny Styles or even Caleb Downs.
Right.
I feel like they needed someone. I mean, I feel like Caleb Downs fits their needs better. They need better secondary help. And Mansour Delane, I was looking at his draft profile, and he obviously is very talented. He's a very, very sticky defender, good in zone. But I'm curious to see because he's pretty short for a cornerback. He's under 6 feet tall, and I think that's interesting that you're gonna trade up, give up 2 picks in later rounds to get someone like Mansour Delane. And don't get me wrong, he could be a very good cornerback in the NFL. He's got a great coordinator to help him out. He's surrounded with great help on defense.
Yes.
But I mean, he's going to need to step in right away and be the anchor for this team. So we'll have to see if he's able to step up to the plate.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very young secondary because you got Delane, you still have Shamari Connor. I mean, Christian Fulton's really the only veteran that you've got, along with the Alohi Gilman. And I just think I think the fact that they couldn't really address that in free agency, they just knew they had to fill it up with something in the draft, and they're probably still going to do it within the next 2 days. But I think making sure that your corner room isn't completely atrocious, I think that was a good decision because the safety room, they got enough players. I think it's just that particular aspect. It was something that I think they needed to get done. But the Cleveland Browns, they took Spencer Fano with that 9th overall pick, and we'll get to what happened in between that in a few minutes. But yeah, the Browns didn't get Malagoa. They got Spencer Fano. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the pick either. I think he's, obviously it was a need that they needed to address. And I think they could have, it could have gone well either way. I think Spencer Fano, we saw that Utah offensive line. He got a lot of help with Caden Lomu as well, or Caleb Lomu, excuse me.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, that Utah offensive line was far and away the best in the league. And I think, obviously, Spencer Fano was a big part of that, one of the best blockers in college football. Did he win there's an offensive lineman award for college football, right?
I think so. I can quickly pull that up.
Yeah.
If we can. So
I
let's see.
think he won
the Outland Trophy.
And did he win it?
It says best interior lineman in college football. Yes.
Okay,
he
yeah.
did win that.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense. It was the right pick, and I think he's a good fit for Cleveland. It's probably not the flashy pick that they wanted. They got their wide receiver later in the draft, which again
They
we'll
just
get to.
needed
but
somebody on that line.
yeah,
Somebody.
exactly.
But in between that, the Commanders with the 7th pick took Sonny Styles. I think we
Great
both
pick.
Great pick. I think we both knew that was going to happen. The Saints took Jordan Tyson with the 8th pick, and I personally like that because outside of Chris Olave, they have nobody else to really throw the ball to besides like Kevin Austin Jr. It's funny. I was watching the draft at Timothy O'Toole's, and there was this Saints fan who was sitting like right across from me, and he was just on the edge of his seat because he's like, okay, I want Jordan Tyson or Mekhi Lemon. Like, he was like really hoping it wasn't somebody else. Sure enough, Jordan Tyson's name gets popped up, and he was like, it was like he won the Super Bowl or something. He was like the happiest guy. I was like, that's a pretty cool moment.
And Tyson, I think again, he's a great fit for the Saints. I mean, he complements Chris Olave very well. They have pretty similar skill sets. Obviously, Jordan Tyson coming off of that ACL injury in his final year, so we'll see if both of them can stay healthy. But I think if both of them can, then Tyler Shuck's going to have a lot of really exciting options for the Saints offense.
I agree. All right, so with the 10th pick, the Giants, with the first-round pick that they got from the Cincinnati Bengals because they traded Dexter Lawrence, they took Francis Mauigoa. And I personally love it because, I mean, obviously you had Andrew Thomas, who's a stud, one of the best left tackles in football. But on that right side, it is absolutely atrocious because you either have Evan Neal or Jermaine Illuminor, and those are not the guys that are going to stabilize that particular side. So I'm happy that the Giants at least finally managed to address it.
Yeah, no, I agree too. I mean, obviously, Fano was taken off the board the pick before, so I mean, Mauigoa was clearly the next best option. Caden Proctor, I guess you could make that argument, but I think Francis Mauigoa was still the better option there, and he fits into that scheme well. They got their help on defense with the 5th pick. So I think they needed to address their needs on the offensive side of the ball to help guys like Scattaboo and Jackson Dart, get more time to find his guys downfield. And so, I agree. It was definitely a great pick for the New York Giants.
So I was not surprised at all. I don't think we talked about the Dexter Lawrence trade. Should
we get into that now?
I think we should because when we brought it up, I think it was last week we brought this up, right? I said that the Giants probably shouldn't trade him, but I think like they should hear like whatever offers come their way because he has 2 years left on his deal, or he did have 2 years left on his deal. And I used the old Branch Rickey saying, better to trade a player a year too early than a year too late. Mm-hmm. And it's because when you have a guy that could still play well, you could get something for him. If he ends up sucking and not playing at the right level, then you can't get anything for him. So, I mean, for the Bengals, I mean, the fact that they didn't get a first-round pick this year, it was like a little bit of a bummer, but I don't think Cincinnati is hating on it whatsoever because after Trey Hendrickson leaving, then somebody needed to like stabilize that front, and Dexter Lawrence can definitely do that in so many different ways. Yeah,
they need help on defense, and you're right. I mean, they were able to get him for cheaper than they would have gotten Trey Hendrickson for sure.
Right.
I think in our mock draft, I had them taking an offensive lineman. I think I had them taking Monroe Freeling.
I think you did, yeah.
So, I mean, they could have, I guess they could have gotten Mauigoa here at 10th as well. But anyway, I mean, the Bengals, they clearly had 2 needs, offensive line, defensive line actually, or just defense in general.
Literally.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they got their guy. They know that he's going to play well because we've seen what he can do before. And the Giants are in more of a rebuilding mode than the Bengals are too. So it makes sense for both of where the teams are now as well, where the Bengals are trying to, I mean, they're more in a win now mode certainly than the Giants. So they really just need to get guys that they know are going to contribute right away. And the Giants, they know they're probably not going to get that out of Mauigoa. He's definitely going to be a starter, but give him 2-3 years to develop. Then I think, he's going to be a great addition to the team.
Yep. All right, so with the 11th and 12th picks, the Cowboys and Dolphins switched sides. They flopped a little bit. The Cowboys ended up giving up a 5th-round pick, or 2 5th-round picks, really, to move up one spot. They selected Caleb Downs out of Ohio State.
Great pick.
Outstanding pick.
Yeah, the fact that he fell to 11 is pretty crazy. Like I said, I thought when the Chiefs traded up to 6, I said I wasn't surprised if they went for him at the 6th pick, just because it seemed like he was going to be off the board in the next few picks. And I mean, the Cowboys, they must have gotten really excited to see that he was still up there at 11, and we're like, we're not going to give the Dolphins a chance to get him. I don't know if the Dolphins were going to take him. I mean, maybe just because like he's
Probably.
such a talented player.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was a great pick.
Well, the Dolphins didn't whiff on this one because they needed a left tackle badly, and they got one with Caden Proctor.
Yeah. No, I think the Dolphins are perfectly happy with that. I'm a little surprised. They needed a left tackle. You're absolutely right. But I am a little surprised they didn't go with a receiver here.
Me too.
Because Mekhi Lemon was still on the board.
Right.
Kenyon Sadiq also still on the board.
Casey Concepcion, if they wanted to get him.
If they wanted to reach a little bit. And I guess like this is a pretty deep receiver class. So
Yeah.
the Dolphins can get their guy in the second round. That's what the Chargers did a few years ago.
Right.
With Joe Alt. And then they got Ladd McConkey in the second round. So, I mean, yeah, I don't hate the pick. I was, at the time, a little bit surprised, but it's also another need that needed to be filled, and they got it with Caden Proctor for sure.
Yep. But the biggest stunner of the night, at least in my opinion, with the 13th pick, the Rams taking Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I think it also was one of the bigger surprises to Sean McVay as well. It seemed like it.
It looked like maybe it was Les Snead's opinion. Well, here's the thing. I understand why they did it, because they needed a future plan for Matthew Stafford. And it's like the worst time to take a quarterback, as both of us know very well, is when you need one.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Rams wanted to make sure that if Matthew Stafford decides to hang it up, then they're not just in like some quarterback purgatory where they can't get a good one or have to like wait a couple years down the road to find the right one. I was surprised that they got him right away at 13th.
Yeah, that was, I think, the big surprise for everybody, because I don't know necessarily if he would have been there in the second round, but I think there's a chance he is. And even if you don't, there are going to be guys that you can get in the second round for sure. Like Garrett Nussmeier is going to be there for sure.
Drew Aller.
Yeah, Drew Aller, exactly. And like I don't know how those guys are going to pan out compared to Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ty Simpson's going to be a great quarterback, a good quarterback. Like we have no idea, and that's the beauty of the NFL draft.
I know.
I think he's a good fit for the Rams team. But you're right. I think in our mock draft we said that
the Steelers, I think.
Yeah, I think we had him going to the Steelers, and I think we said that the Rams were going to take a wide receiver here.
Yeah.
Just because that's like kind of their biggest need to win now.
Exactly.
But like honestly, the Rams are probably one of the more complete teams in the NFL in terms of what they have and what they did in the offseason, who they got in the offseason. I mean, that defense is going to be really hard to get by, especially now that they added Trent McDuffie.
Yep.
So, I mean, addressing their offense was the right move. But, yeah, I mean, you're right. The fact that they took Ty Simpson 13th overall when they don't have a pick until late second round, it was certainly a surprise to me and a lot of other NFL fans for sure.
The thing that interests me, Ryan, is the fact that, with Ty Simpson, it could really go either way. Like, with him being with Sean McVay and being around that supporting cast with Puka and Kyra Williams, a solid offensive line, a well-established defense, like, that, like, when the time is right and when you sit behind Stafford, who's, like, well-experienced, coming off an MVP season, Super Bowl champion, that, when the time comes, you think he can, live up to the potential. And then there's the other side where you're hoping it's just not like another Mac Jones or J.J. McCarthy situation where their flaws get completely exposed and they don't amount to anything. It doesn't matter who your coach is. They just can't really play at this level.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think, again, like the difference between Ty Simpson and J.J. McCarthy, I guess J.J. did get a year based on his injury.
Yeah. But
like Ty Simpson will get at least a year to develop, if not more than that, depending on how long Matt Stafford wants to stay in the league. And
right.
I think, again, it's a great system to learn under. Sean McVay is one of the most brilliant minds in football. Matt Stafford, I think, is a great mentor to him. They play very similarly. So, I mean, I think Ty, he's in the best situation, certainly. Of the two quarterbacks drafted in the first round, I think he's certainly in the better situation right now.
Clearly.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely a shock that he was taken that early.
Oh, yeah. All right, so next up at 14, the Ravens, they took the left guard out of Penn State, which I was personally not surprised at it at all. That was the thing they needed. They needed interior line help badly.
Yeah. I was hoping they would forget that, but that's okay. It was
one Harbaugh at least got him.
Yeah, one Harbaugh got him. It was the right. Well, not even one Harbaugh got him.
I mean, right.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But with 15th, the Bucs, they took Ruben Bain Jr. I mean, that definitely is a steal because the Bucs definitely needed pass rushing help. My family, they root for the Bucs, so my brother was certainly ecstatic when Bain fell to him in the draft.
Yeah.
So that was, I think that was a good one. The one thing that was interesting, though, the Jets, with the 16th pick, their second first-round pick, they went with Kenyon Sadiq, tight end. And I actually, when I saw the tape, I'm like, man, this might be one of the fastest tight ends I've ever seen just because of how explosive he can come off the line and, some of the routes that he can run. And listen, no matter who your quarterback is going to be, whether it's Geno or somebody that they take within the next rounds, because if they don't take a quarterback in this draft, then, what the hell are you doing? But it was interesting.
Geno's going to lead him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's going to take them to the promised land, according to Aaron Glenn. But what did you think of the Sadiq pick? Were you, curious about that? Did you like it, or...
I liked it. I understood why they did it. I mean, tight end is one of their strongest positions already, but we've seen teams really load up on tight end and get one for blocking, one for receiving.
Yep.
And that's hard to stop at times. And I think they certainly have that now with Mason Taylor and Kenyon Sadiq.
Yes.
I think both of those guys complement each other very well. And I think we talked about this last week too. The Jets just need weapons.
Yeah.
They need it any way they can get them.
Right.
And they get that with Sadiq. He's very versatile, as you said. He's a tight end, but he plays more like a receiver almost. And that's very intimidating for a lot of defenses. So, they could have taken Mekhi Lemon here, certainly, but they got a receiver later in the first round that I think suits the team just as good. And yeah, I mean, Kenyon Sadiq, I think he's a great pick for sure.
The Lions ended up taking an offensive lineman. They took Blake Miller.
Much needed.
Solid pick, very much needed. The Vikings, they took a big need. They lost Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave in the offseason, so they went with Caleb Banks out of Florida.
Big guy.
Really solid pick. Brian Flores is going to love him.
Yeah.
The Panthers, they interestingly went with a tackle here. I mean, this was a position, or this was a pick where they could have really gone with anybody here, but I personally like it because... Listen, I don't mind Taylor Moton. I don't think he's going to give you stability, and I think Monroe Freeling, when the time is right, could do that.
Yeah, they needed a tackle. It was one of their needs, certainly not as big as some of their other needs, but I think he was supposed to be taken a lot earlier, projected a lot earlier. One of the best tackles in the draft. Like I said, we had him 10th last week. So yeah, I mean, the fact that he fell to them at 19th, I think that was just something they couldn't pass up. Because I mean, he's a big guy, 6'7", 315. He's going to be a hard guy to get around for sure, and I think he's going to really help out this Panthers team that's done a lot this offseason to get better. They already made the playoffs, or they're coming off of playoff season last year. So I think they're going to get even better this year with Freeling protecting Bryce Young.
Totally agree. And then another draft day trade took place with the 20th pick. So the Cowboys and the Eagles. The Cowboys moved down 3 spots. Philly moved up 3. Philly selected Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC, but that's not even the craziest part of the whole thing. So the Steelers were about to call, they were on the phone with Mekhi Lemon. They were talking, being like, hey, we're going to make you a Steeler. And then all of a sudden, the trade happens, and the Eagles try to call him. And he finds out Mekhi Lemon is going there. And the Steelers are just absolutely stunned and puzzled. They didn't do too bad with the consolation pick that they got. We'll get into that. But, let's talk about Mekhi Lemon of Philly. This just, to me, once I saw that, the first thing that came into my mind, the first thing that came into my mind was A.J. Brown's gone.
Well, yeah, no, and I think we're going to talk about that later too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
With A.J. Brown being, likely out the door here. But, I mean, they filled a need. I think it was interesting because Mekhi Lemon, based on what I've seen, he reminds me a lot of Devontae Smith and not a lot of A.J. Brown. So I am interested to see how those two work together on that team because they're both smaller guys, great route runners, able to, make space for themselves. But there's not, I don't know, there's not a lot of strength there in that wide receiver room, at least physical strength. And I think you certainly got that with A.J. Brown, great off the snap and, able to, make space with his body, whereas Mekhi Lemon and Devontae Smith, they need to do that based on their athleticism and their shiftiness. Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be, interesting to see how they work together in this Eagles offense.
Yeah, let's say A.J. Brown does somehow leave. That receiving room is it's really just a bunch of rentals, if you ask me. I mean, there is Devontae Smith and then Mekhi Lemon, but outside of that, I mean, they traded a late-round pick for Dontavian Wicks. They signed Hollywood Brown. They bring in Elijah Moore, and I'm just thinking to myself, really? Is this really what Jalen Hurts is going to be working with?
Yeah, no, I mean, it went from... And, I mean, we knew that A.J. Brown was likely going to be out the door. So, I mean, we knew that this receiving room was going to take a big step back, but they really went from one of the best to one of the most like, okay, we'll see what happens. And like maybe Mekhi Lemon's going to be a big part of that. Maybe my first takes are wrong, but it's in my head, I was thinking he could be a much better fit in other places where they already have like a stud at wide receiver 1, and then Mekhi Lemon serves as a wide receiver 2. Yep. Whereas I think him and Smith are like the 1A, 1B for each other, where they're both sort of, again, they remind me a lot of each other.
Yeah. All right, so the Steelers, with that 21st pick, ended up taking Big Max, the tackle out of Arizona State, which I think, like, hearing the rumors about Broderick Jones and his neck injury and, if he even will play this year or who knows how long, I think it was a wise decision. Thank God they didn't, like, try to trade up for a quarterback or something and, like, panic. But the Chargers, with the 22nd pick, took Akeem Messeter, the edge rusher out of Miami.
Yeah.
We hear from the Bolts fan himself.
Yeah, the only one. Yeah, no, I thought it was a good pick. I mean, he slipped a little bit, obviously. We thought he was going to be in the top 20. A lot of draft analysts thought he was going to be in the top 20. But, I mean, his last year at Miami, he was an absolute stud. 12.5 sacks, 5.5 during their playoff run. And one of the nice things, too, about Messeter, this Chargers team is they're in a win-now situation, right? They have most of the pieces that they need. They obviously haven't won a playoff game since before Justin Herbert was there.
I know.
But they're so close. I know I keep saying that, but I really feel it. And I think that Akeem Messeter is a great replacement to Odafe Owe, a lot cheaper. And like I said, he has this experience, 6 years playing college ball, so they can throw him in right away and he can contribute. I don't, obviously we don't know how he's going to do because that's the beauty of the draft. And he has had a history of injuries throughout his career. But I don't know. I think it's a good pick. Like they got someone that slipped a little bit and it fills a need. Obviously they needed offensive line help as well. But the guards that they could have gotten were already off the board. So I think this was really the next best option for him.
All right. I'm going to defer to you on that one. And more importantly, like, someone's going to have to step in whenever Khalil Mack decides to hang it up. So.
Yeah, exactly, too. And, yeah, I mean, I mentioned this, we had to do something for class talking about a draft pick, and I wrote mine about, of course, the Chargers guy.
There you go.
And, yeah, I mean, I mentioned that, too. Like, he can start right away. They ran last year under Jesse Minter, they ran schemes with Owe, Mack, and Tuli Pelotu all in the game at the same time. And I think, regardless of whether or not Chris O'Leary does that, now as the new defensive coordinator, like Messeter is going to get playing time for sure. He's ready to start right now. So that's certainly one of the big upsides about getting a guy like him.
Oh, yeah. So with the 23rd pick, the Cowboys ended up taking Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher out of UCF. I thought that might have been a little bit of a reach, but I mean, I'm guessing it's more of a scheme fit. So I'm thinking all right, Christian Parker can definitely try to like untap whatever potential's in there. I'm hoping he doesn't turn into a bust. I don't want this to be another Taco Charlton situation, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and they got their steal, and now they can make the reach, so it balances out.
Right. The Browns with the 24th pick, they got the receiver that I was personally hoping would fall to 28 or 31, wherever the Patriots were. Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, one of the best route runners of the whole class. And listen, with Jerry Jeudy's, continuing, slide or regression or disappointing career, whatever you want to call it, and just the overall lack of depth in that position or in that receiving room, I like that the Browns took him because they needed somebody.
Yeah, they need help, and especially at the wide receiver position, you're right. I mean, Shedeur Sanders, obviously, going into his sophomore year, came off of a pretty solid rookie season, but didn't have anybody to throw the ball to. So I think, you got someone, you're right, very, very athletic, great route runner, very speedy, like Casey Concepcion, and I think he's going to help open things up and, maybe even help Jerry Jeudy a little bit.
Right.
Take some of the attention off of him.
Yes. All right, so the Bears at 25 took Dylan Theinman, the safety out of Oregon. First off, I was surprised he fell that far or fell that low, but I love that the Bears took him because with Jaquan Brisker leaving and Kevin Byard gone, they needed somebody in that back end to help out, Tyreek Stevenson and Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. And I think that getting probably the best safety in the entire draft was a huge win for them. I mean, they could have gone with an edge rusher or a defensive lineman, but I personally have no problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I mean, when someone that talented that fits the team well slides down to you at 25, I mean, that's something you can't pass up. I don't know. I don't know what else needs to be said. Like at that point, yeah, there's really no other option for him. He's a great player and a really great pick for the Bears.
All right, so the Texans, they ended up taking Kalen Rutledge, offensive guard out of Georgia Tech, which honestly, like, that O-line has been bad for who knows how long. So I feel like anytime like you add someone in, you're just hoping to God he pans out well.
Yeah, it was on paper it was a bit of a reach, but like where else are you going to go here if you're the Texans?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it makes sense. It's their biggest need by a long shot.
Exactly. It was a good thing we had Jonah on the show last week because he was the first one to bring up Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, and that's exactly who the Dolphins took with their
Aztecs.
second first-round pick.
Yeah.
Go Aztecs. So,
even though I didn't go there, but that's okay.
hey, one San Diego kid to another. You got to show some love. Mm-hmm. And then another big draft trade surprise that honestly really surprised me. The Patriots moving up 3 spots with the Bills.
Yeah, I'll defer to you for this. So take it away.
So the Patriots ended up moving 3 spots. They ended up giving up a 4th-round pick to select Caleb Lomu, the tackle out of Utah. And I'm going to be honest, I was like really confused when I heard about the pick because I knew like offensive line was something that they needed to address because, like, forget about Will Campbell and his struggles. Forget about what they're going to do with Jared Wilson and if they're going to move him to center, if they're going to keep him at left guard. Forget that. I don't mind the fact that they had a long-term vision for this because Morgan Moses is not getting any younger. Michael Owenu, he only has like 1 year left on his deal. And Elliot Wolf said it himself. We're going to put Will Campbell at left tackle, and, you know, we really loved what Lomo could do, you know, versatility-wise. Like, he could really play anywhere on the line. The reason why I was so confused, though, is because I felt like there could have been a lot bigger needs. More importantly, I don't really know if they needed to move up 3 spots with your most hated rival just to get him. Maybe the Chiefs were eyeing on him, or maybe the Jets. Who knows? I just really, I don't know. I personally like him. I think he'll be solid for us. I mean, anytime you can get an offensive lineman in the first round, that's not too bad of a thing, unless you're the Giants and decide to reach for Evan Neal or anybody else like that. So I'm very curious. I think that I'm more optimistic than pessimistic. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust or anything like that. I just felt like the Patriots could have addressed, you know, a few bigger needs, like an edge rusher. Maybe not a wide receiver because I feel like you could still get one that's pretty good in the second round if you want to get him. Then again, there's another veteran that you could be getting in a couple months, but we'll get into that later.
Well, no, I was gonna say. So I mean, you know, you're filling in for Mike Vrabel while he's getting advice, counseling.
Yes.
Who are you suggesting? Who do you think that the Patriots would take, or who would you want them to take if you were in the war room?
I mean, I would have wanted to get what I said in the mock draft last week. I wanted to get Cassius Howell because they lost Kayvon Chason. They don't really have a lot of young pass rushers. They have good ones, but not ones that are like, you know, pretty young and that like have like less wear and tear on their bodies. One of the only guys that they really did get in free agency was Draymond Jones, who's okay, but he's more of a rotational guy than anything. And the fact that they gave him a 3-year deal worth $39 million, I'm like, really? You overpaid for that? So that's why I wanted them to go with an edge rusher. Hell, the Titans traded up for an edge rusher with the 31st pick, and we'll get into that. But, like, I don't know. I felt like edge rusher would have been the way I would have gone just because, you know, usually the Patriots, when it comes to those late-round guys, like, it's usually linemen or defensive help, whatever the case may be. So that's what I would have gone with. But like I said, I think Loma will be good. It's just, what are you going to do with him? Mm-hmm. That's my biggest question.
Yeah. I mean, you probably need to slide him to guard or, you know, have him just learn from Morgan Moses for a year or two and see how he fits in.
I guess so. But the Chiefs, with the 29th pick, they took Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson. So that might be your potential Chris Jones replacement down the line.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, and he's, you know, learning from the best, right? I mean, he's a great player and he's got an even better mentor now. So, I mean, I don't know. Again, probably not going to play a whole lot his rookie year because he's behind Chris Jones, maybe filling in early down situations. But yeah, it definitely felt like a Chris Jones replacement.
Yeah. With their 3rd first-round pick, the Jets, they took Omar Cooper Jr.
Like it?
I like it, too, because somebody needs to help. It's the same thing with the, who am I thinking of? Crap. Oh, the Saints. Mm-hmm. it's like you got Garrett Wilson, but you need somebody else to throw the ball to. And last year, it was literally a preseason roster where you had to throw to guys like John Mechie and Adonai Mitchell, and you're like, and Isaiah Williams, and you're thinking to yourself like, okay, you need to like address that room badly because, like I said, even if it's Geno Smith as your quarterback, you can't just throw him in with nothing.
Yeah.
So
no, and I mean, they added Kenyon Sadiq earlier. We talked about that. So now they got two really great weapons for Geno Smith.
Yeah. And the Jets, they actually traded up to get that third first-round pick. The 49ers ended up getting a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick. And then last but not least, we've got, I didn't even mention the Dolphins trade up to get the 49ers, or to get Chris Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dolphins ended up getting that 27th pick and a fourth-round pick. The 49ers, they ended up dropping down to 30, which they ended up trading down with the Jets. And then they got an extra third-round pick. But finally, the final draft day trade, at least in day one, the Titans moving up to the 31st spot with the Buffalo Bills. The Titans also got a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick, while the Bills got a second, a third, and a fourth.
Pretty good.
Pretty big haul to get Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. I personally don't mind it. I really don't, because on that D-line, you need someone to help out Jeffrey Simmons. And as much as I like guys like Arden Key, I just, it's like the same thing why I wanted the Patriots to get someone like Cassius Howell. You just needed younger pass rushers. And I think with Saleh, running that front, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it was a really deep class for edge rushers this year. And I mean, Keldrick Falk slipped down a little bit further than people thought because there weren't as many teams that took edge rushers as maybe, as expected. But yeah, I mean, he was still there at 31, so the Titans traded up to get him. And you're right. I mean, it fits the team well. And, it was a bit of a steal, I think, for them. Maybe they gave up just a little too much.
A little
second,
bit.
Third, fourth.
I know.
But
that pretty much means like, we expect him to be like immediately good within the next 2-3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with the final pick, the Seattle Seahawks went with a little bit of a surprise to me. They took Jeremiah Love's backup, Jadarian Price, the running back out of Notre Dame. And, I was like, okay, I wonder how good this guy actually is. So I reached out to one of our Notre Dame fans who goes to school with us, who is also a guest on this show. And I asked her, like, how good is he? And he said, he's very good. He just has a fumbling issue. And I asked, if he was worth taking in the first round. And she was like, for a team who just lost their running back, I think yes. And that's what I was kind of thinking. It's like, okay, Kenneth Walker's gone. Zach Charbonnet's coming off a torn Achilles. I could understand why the Seahawks would go in that direction. Really, I don't think whoever they took, it wasn't going to be a bad pick because they're the defending champs. Mm-hmm. But, curious. I'm curious that the fact that, they went with a running back with their first round pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Like you kind of said it, like, who else do they take? I mean, they won the Super Bowl. They lost their running back, so they need someone to fill that void. I think, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Obviously, they let a lot of people go on defense, but they also got a few people back. So, I mean, it's, I think their biggest need was the running back position after letting Kenneth Walker go. Charbonnet, we don't know if he's going to be back to start the year after tearing his ACL. So, I think they needed a running back, and he was the best guy on the board.
Yeah. All right, so we went through the entire first round. I think, that was, as well as I would have wanted it to go. Now let's get into some laundry list items that took place over the past week. So a couple big wide receiver news that took place. Let's start with what's going on in Foxborough. A.J. Brown is likely to be traded to the New England Patriots. I'm saying likely, doesn't mean it's actually going to happen or officially going to happen, but, those talks are starting to heat up.
Yeah. Well, and you said it earlier, too. I mean, with the Eagles drafting a wide receiver, it seems like they know that there's, again, a hole that needs to be filled. And, they expect Mekhi Lemon to fill. I mean, again, assuming A.J. Brown goes, which, as Adam Schefter said, as you said, it is very likely to happen. Yeah. And, I mean, it's also a need for the Patriots as well. They lost Stephon Diggs, and it's not something that, at least in the first round, that they addressed. I'm sure they'll get a receiver tonight in the second or the third round. But, definitely, I think it's mutually beneficial. Obviously, I don't know what kind of baggage A.J. Brown's going to bring with him to the Patriots, but they've dealt with a receiver with baggage before, so it wouldn't be unprecedented for them to do it again.
Yeah, and that's been my stance on it this whole time. It's been cautious optimism because you know what he could do on the football field, and you just hope that whatever issues going on in Philadelphia weren't completely all on him. I think it was just like a marriage that, needed to go its own way.
Yeah.
With Hurts and Sirianni or whatnot. But yeah, that's like the thing. It's cautious optimism because the talent is there. You just hope that, whatever issues that were going on in Philly don't linger into New England.
Absolutely.
I know that they signed Romeo Doubs, but I don't know if he's completely worth that big contract. So I think listen, A.J. Brown could be a big get, and yeah, you're right. When it comes to the draft, who knows what they do there.
Yeah, and I mean, Romeo Doubs is not a wide receiver one either, and
Right.
A.J. Brown definitely is. I mean, even at this point in his career, there's no doubt about it that he's still a wide receiver one talent.
Well, another receiver that needs to prove he's wide receiver one, George Pickens. Stephen Jones announced that they will make the Dallas Cowboys, will make George Pickens play on the franchise tag. They will not offer him a long-term contract this offseason, and recently, just the other day, he officially signed his franchise tag. So, yeah, pretty bold from the Cowboys, immediately saying, yeah, no, we're not giving him a long-term deal. We're going to make him play for it. I mean, pretty much you're just taking all the leverage that George Pickens has.
Yeah, no, and I mean it is very Cowboys too to not give one of your best players the big deal that I feel like he earned after last year. I mean, he played great football. He had better stats than CeeDee Lamb. Of course, CeeDee Lamb was out for a decent chunk of the year last year, but I feel like Pickens certainly proved that he can be a wide receiver one on this team. He complements CeeDee Lamb very well. They're a great 1A, 1B, good deep threat, great route runner. Maybe not necessarily the best, conduct on the field based on his history, but I don't think that's enough to, warrant saying we're not going to give you a big contract. I feel like he deserves it. And the Cowboys, they're in financial trouble, certainly. And they still need a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball that they need to address with whatever money they have left. But yeah, I don't know. It is a little surprising that they didn't at least try, or they didn't do more to give him a longer deal.
I mean, for Pickens, it's he doesn't really have a lot of choices here. It's either play on the franchise tag and just, fight for that big contract, or potentially hold out and risk losing nearly $30 million.
Yeah.
I mean, they could just trade him whenever they want to, and then that's it. So I think for Pickens, he's definitely heading into a big year just to prove that last year wasn't really just a fluke, that he's been capable. And listen, Pittsburgh, I don't think he was going to post those numbers that he did last year with
absolutely.
that quarterback turmoil and that conundrum. So, yeah, I think it's things are definitely happening in Jerry world. But last but not least, we got to talk.
We're back.
We got to talk about it. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Mike Vrabel and the Diana Russini situation, and at first, I really thought it wasn't a big deal because the only two pictures I saw were them holding their hands by the pool and then the big hug. And I thought, okay, who knows what the actual context there is? And then more photos began to surface.
Yeah.
And then everything started to escalate. She ended up resigning from The Athletic. Mike Vrabel, is going to miss the third day of the draft. He's seeking counseling. He's spending the entire weekend with his family. And now it's turned into something a lot bigger and deeper.
Yeah, pictures leaked this week of the two in New York from 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff that he's got to work out. So yeah, I did say 2 weeks ago that if I am wrong about this, and if this does get turned into something bigger, then I will completely shut down whatever opinion I had before. So I will. I do apologize for that, just for everybody out there. But yeah, first off, I hate the fact that Russini had to resign from The Athletic. And listen, who knows what was happening between those two, but the fact that a lot of the attention shifted towards her, as her her credibility as a reporter and her trying to cover these teams and these players, the fact that this had an impact on that, it's unfortunate, but I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, no, and we sort of discussed this off camera as well. Right. And it does suck that Russini was punished more than Mike Vrabel was for what happened. Yeah. But on the other hand, her credibility was compromised by doing this, whereas Mike Vrabel's not quite so much. Obviously, there is sort of the moral dilemma, not really a dilemma, but yeah, no, I mean it is too bad that that's how it's gonna go for Diana Russini because she is a great reporter, but like this was a dumb decision by Russini and Mike Vrabel to go forth with this relationship for this long and compromise their respective roles. And again, I feel like Mike Vrabel is really only getting a slap on the wrist here when it should be taken more seriously than this by the organization. And the Patriots, they're no stranger to scandals like this before. I guess maybe not like this, kind of like this.
Yeah, somewhat
like this. But I don't know. I hope that if the counseling doesn't go like, he doesn't have like a big coming to Jesus moment, Mike Vrabel,
right?
Then there is going to be more of a punishment in his direction.
Possibly. Well, Roger Goodell said yesterday that he's not going to be published under the personal conduct policy. He said it was more of a personal thing than anything. But yeah, I agree with what you said. It is a slap on the wrist when it comes to Vrabel, but I don't think I don't think anybody is in the right here. I think
absolutely.
I mean, listen, like I said, I hate that the way that Russini's career ended up, taking that big dip. I hate that, but at the same time, like, both of them had to take responsibility one way or the other. And whether you want to say Vrabel should have get punished more than Russini, I won't disagree with it. I won't debate that because, like, I don't think either one of them, like, should get away with anything. But it's just, like I said, it's unfortunate and it's messy. But I'm hoping that, within, like, these next, like, few weeks or so that this just blows over for good and that, both of them are, like, in decent spaces in their lives because if you can like get past that, then I think you can really get through anything.
Yeah, well, and hopefully for Diana Russini, hopefully she's able to, sort of realize that what she did was wrong.
Yeah,
and she's able to, apologize and start over again because like she's not going to get a job at The Athletic right away, but hopefully she goes back to doing what she does and doing what she's good at and. Hopefully sooner or later we'll see her on a higher level.
Yeah. I will make one last point and then we can wrap it up. I saw this tweet from Jamel Hill where it's somewhere around the lines of, I wonder what the narrative or the discourse would be if the roles were reversed. Where if it's a male reporter, in this type of situation with a female coach or even a female athlete for that matter. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not going to like, go too off the end, but all I'm going to say is like, I'm also very curious to see like what that narrative or what that discourse is going to be because I don't want it to be in a situation where they're going to completely spin it on the athlete or the coach and make it seem like it's their fault when in reality, it's if it's like a mutually beneficial relationship or whatever it is, then I don't think like one side should get, punished more or punished less than the other. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if the roles were reversed, it would have had a different outcome for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that just about does it. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for additional content. We'll be back next week with another Dialed In episode. After the draft, it gets pretty quiet and boring. So
yeah, what are we gonna do, Collin?
I don't know.
We'll have to figure it out.
We have to bring some snacks just to like get through it.
Yeah, we have to talk about hockey and basketball.
Exactly.
For an episode.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
So long.